Welcome to the podcast, Anne-Claire.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. Really nice to be here today.
So before we got started, we had some kind of technical difficulty, and I, I have to say, it made me think about like a spirit communication, where when the spirit can see you and you can't see the spirit, and that was basically what was happening. And I feel like it was like an interesting thing to kind of start with, because that's really what you do is you can connect with something that other people cannot see, but is able to see people. So it's kind of like the spirit baby is trying to communicate with the future parent, but the future parent does not have that easy or obvious communication. So I
Yeah,
thought it was kind of
exactly.
very, very symbolic of what we're going to talk about. Before we do get started, I would love for you to introduce yourself and give us a background on how you really got into doing this work.
Yeah. Yeah. So my name is Anne-Claire and I'm originally from France, but right now I've been in Vancouver, Canada for like 6 years approximately. And that's when I arrived in Canada that I started to practice as a spirit baby medium. And through the years and whoever came to me, it ended up towards more actually women who are trying to conceive. I've also supported women who are pregnant or during the birth process, but I'd say the majority of like whoever is coming to me or who is being sent to me are women who've been trying to conceive for a while, and I'll help them connect with the soul of their babies before they come earthside.
That's so cool to me. I always thought it was really intriguing, and it's really similar to it's the same thing as really connecting with people who have passed. It's just kind of like the direction of where the souls go. So it's either
Exactly.
they left from here or they're coming to here, but they're still on the other side. And I will say, and this is like my own anecdotal experience, I have seen insanely accurate messages and signs that my patients would get from their spirit babies once they opened up. And I think there is a level of opening up, because as soon as you ask and you show that you're open, those signs do actually come in. And
Hmm.
it's really crazy, because they were very like, you can't even explain away what happened. It was so accurate and so specific, and the signs were so like detailed that it was insane.
Oh, I love that your clients, like you've noticed that in your client. It's really cool.
Yeah, so talk to us about that, really, like what are spirit babies, and how did you figure out that you can connect with it? Like, what were some of the signs that you got that you were able to really get intuitive and connect with that energy?
Yeah. So, I mean, I love the description you give because that's often what I said. It's like, you know, a lot of people, they're aware of the fact that you can communicate with people who passed away, and it's kind of the same, just a different channel or a different connection, but it's kind of like the same, just connecting to the soul before they come. So it's basically based on the belief that we all have a soul and that when we pass, the soul keep on living, and basically before we incarnate, some of those souls are coming back. Sometimes it's new souls, sometimes it's souls that already came, and we can connect with them. Usually it's contracts that have been made between the parents and the child, like long even sometimes you even born yourself. So you can usually connect and see which baby are around you quite early on in the process. And the way it came to me, I mean, there is a lot of, there have been, it's not like just one thing, it's been an accumulation of a lot of different, I'd say, anecdotal experiences, but I'd say they find me rather than me finding them. And yeah, it's, I mean, long story short, like I was in medical school and then I didn't get into actually the way it is in France. You have to do a few years and get you either enter the medical school or you can get dentist or midwifery. And I got into midwifery. And that's what I started to be in contact with a lot of baby and birth. And it just started to come in my dreams. That was kind of like the first time that they really started to come. And that was more like generic. And then later on, they started to come for like my own spirit baby started to visit me, and then I got pregnant. So the big shift when in 2019 when I got pregnant, I really had like very, very, very strong and vivid dream and message that I needed to help women to connect with their babies. And it was so strong that it's almost like I couldn't do anything else than just following that. And I lost that baby at around 11 weeks.
Oh,
And
I'm
for
sorry to
me,
hear
it
that.
was like kind of a way to honor their life. It's like, it's like, okay, they came, that was one of the reason, and I need to do something with that. And that's when I just started to just offer that, and it just grew from there.
That's so fascinating. It's so interesting to me because, well, first of all, I'm a believer that we have so much more power as humans and that there's so much more magic than meets the eye. And just because our eyes don't see it or ears don't hear it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I think that we get so relied kind of in mainstream on our senses, and we know for a fact that our senses can only pick up on certain things, just like animals have their senses, and sometimes it crosses over where they're able to sense things that we don't sense. So just because our senses don't understand it or don't see it and don't connect with it doesn't mean that other things don't exist. So to me it's always really been fascinating, and it's also like there's this wisdom and that we can really connect with. It's not just, the energies, but there's a wisdom and sometimes even messages that they have for us. So I would love to talk about that. Like, what are some of the messages you've gotten, and what are some of the sort of the teachings that you feel like maybe they're trying to communicate?
Yeah, it it's funny. It's very different for each person, but at the same time, there is a lot of message and communality that keep coming back.
Yeah.
Um, so the way, just for people to, the way I work is I mean, one of the ways when I do one-on-ones, like the woman comes and then I open the channel and we connect with that whoever baby is there and we see what they have to share. I often, like I always allow for the woman to receive the message as well. So they have the ability to also get some information and I also receive some. And then we cross compare if we both receive information. And there is sometimes babies that have very specific reason for why they hasn't come. So yeah, just for context, most of women have been trying to conceive for a while. A lot of them is like unexplained fertility and they're not really understanding what's going on. So sometimes through talking with the baby, there is a reason that is on the baby side. Maybe they have some fear, they're like they they're just scared of just incarnating and what that the just coming on earth and coming in a physical body. Sometimes it's a past life connection as well with the mom, some healing that need to happen. Sometimes it will be, parents are very set on like having a boy, but the baby that is there is actually a girl. So she's like, I'm not gonna come because I feel my parents like that's not what they want. So there is a lot of little stories like that that I see. But that being said, it's very interesting because it's not the majority of what's going on. So that I've definitely all of those stories I shared, I've seen them and way more. But I would say the common message that I see very often is especially those women that find spirit baby and then that find me. I feel there is like they call on a spiritual journey and like personal development journey, which is often like one of the first messages like you don't have to do that much, like you can just be and relax. And I know it might sound, they've heard that a lot of like relax and but the way it comes from the spirit baby, it lands on the mom very differently that they get it. Um, and often what I said is the spirit babies come in their life to take them on a spiritual journey and spiritual growth. And often, especially when there is nothing, and it's like they've done all the tests, they've tried everything, and nothing is explained. I often compare it to, those stories of people who have like very traumatic, let's say, car accident or cancer, and they just use that as like a life, like it's like awakening for them, and then they change
Yeah.
something in their life. That's often what I see. It's like the women that so want the baby, it's like so deep and so close to their hearts that they'll do anything for them to change. They'll do anything for them to come. And so if they're invited to take a more on a spiritual path, then often they'll take it.
Yeah. It's really fascinating. I mean, I think it's like that in everything. I work in the world of fertility, so this is that topic that we speak about, but the topic can shift and change, and you can insert another topic, and it's still the same, I guess, human challenges that we have, which is when we desire something. I think Buddha taught about this like thousands of years ago, about how we desire, and how desire in a certain circumstance can make us suffer. And it's because we're trying to shift or change what is right now. And what's interesting, and it's such a crazy like irony, I guess, of how it works, but it's the letting go that actually brings it closer.
Mhm.
And it's confusing and it's heartbreaking and it's difficult to accept, but it's the truth. And I see it also how it is depicted in the Chinese medicine and the body and the qi. That which we resist, whatever we will resist, will cause more stagnation.
Mhm.
And when we allow ourselves even to feel difficult emotions, when we allow it to move through us, then we have more flow. On the other side of it is a feeling of weightlessness.
Mhm. Yeah, and there is a lot. I mean, as everything you mentioned, that's the thing is that I believe there is also physical things that need to happen. It's like I'm focused, I choose, like I'm also trained as a naturopath, so I have all that knowledge, but I've noticed there were lack when it comes to the energetic and spiritual side of conception. But all the rest is also important and also need to
Yeah.
happen. But the thing is, women that come to me, often they've done all of this. They
Yeah,
they've
yeah. Most
seen
of the
they've
time they'll
seen the acupuncture,
yeah,
they've seen the naturopath, they've changed their diet, they're taking the
true.
supplements, and then they're like, what's going on?
Yeah, what else? Yeah, that's always the what else. And I find a lot of interesting things also with the nervous system. And I think the nervous system really, I mean, if you want to like kind of use one word for it, it's information. And it communicates. It's basically a communication pathway. It's electricity that goes through your body. And when that is clear and when that is regulated, you're also more in tune with your intuition. You're also more in tune with your body and what your body needs, whether that is food or other things as well. And
Yeah.
so I find that when it's regulated, we can be in a state of more trust and receivership.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, exactly. It's like if you're in like survival mode, it's like it's buzzing inside of you, so it's difficult to hear anything and even to connect with your baby or to connect with your body or and and this is definitely one of the steps. It's like how can I quiet my mind? How can I re is they say like not stress, and that's another thing, they don't like to hear about that, but that's go with the nervous system. It's like how can I get more there is more space,
Safe, safe. You when you
Yeah,
feel safe. And I think that that's actually what a lot of people are craving. They're craving a feeling of safety
yeah, definitely. And
because being in this situation, there's a lot of fight or flight because you're getting numbers and all kinds of information
mhm.
overload.
And what's happening with when there, as I said in the work I do, there is different layers, but one of the first layer is, when you've been on that journey for so long and you've tried so much, you reach a point where you kind of almost lose hope and question, is it really the path? Should I really keep going into that? And I find just knowing and just having even a sense that their baby is there and receiving even just a few message, it's doing something in them that it's like, okay, I'm not doing it wrong. I'm not, taking the wrong path, and it just helped them to have hope again and be more peaceful and just keep going on that journey, because it is for some women a very long journey, and it's require as well, some, it's like almost reinsurance that they're doing the right thing, even if there's no
Yeah.
right or wrong, but
Yeah, that they're on the path for a reason. I think that that also is another thing. Like I personally believe, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I think after a while you start to see patterns. And I feel like there's a calling for a reason. There's a reason for it. It's not random that they
Mhm.
have this calling within their heart. And ultimately, a lot, like it's funny because I had one patient ask me, do the majority of your patients get pregnant? Eventually they do, actually.
Yeah.
The majority do. There's a small percentage that don't, and they choose other ways. But even those other ways can be meant to be, even though they weren't the initial path that people imagine.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting is that, you had people shifting paths, like, going through adoption or just like reaching a point where they're at peace with not having children. But I find that on the other side, whatever happened, there might be a time where it's been like a lot of grieving and it has been challenging, but they're like, oh, that's exactly how it was meant to be.
Hmm. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah. But often what I say is it's in the work we're doing is like sometimes you need quite a few years to be able to know as well, what's going to unfold and how for people. Because even the conception journey, it's like you get pregnant, then it's 9 months, and then so
Hmm.
it's often takes a few years to know, okay, what's happening for those clients. But yeah, I've definitely I love what you're doing because it's also very holistic and it's like looking at like, okay, from different angle and how can we become what I say is like more aligned, body, mind, and spirit. How can we align fully? Then your baby can join and come in this lifetime with you.
Yeah, and I find that what's interesting is that, like you said, everybody comes to you when they've tried everything else. And what happens is, because kind of the spiritual aspect is so difficult, and, it's not as tangible, it's not something that you can hold and look at. It's something that can only really, truly be felt. And
Mhm.
ultimately, you need silence and you need peace and quiet in order to truly feel that and connect with it. And how often do we do that in
Yeah.
modern day time? Like, how often do we really get that opportunity to get quiet? And that's one of the reasons why I tell a lot of my patients, and I'm like a nagging mom to my patients, you got to meditate. You got to meditate. And sometimes it takes them like months, and then they finally do. And when they finally get to, it's kind of like starting the gym. You resist at first.
Yeah.
You don't really feel like going to work out, but you just do. You push yourself until it starts to feel good, and then you become addicted. And ultimately, that's the aspect that I find is often missed on the fertility journey. It's that mindset, it's that connecting with your spirit, connecting with that intuition and that intelligence. And when people do, and this is before baby, because there's this preconceived assumption that you're going to have to suffer. But when they do connect with spirit and they do get quiet, not only do they connect with their intuition, but they also feel more peace.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's interesting that you're sharing that because so the way I support women through fertility is like a 12-week journey. And the first session we do is how to make space. And it might sound when you're like, oh, it's easy, but then we really dive into, okay, what does that mean to make space? Make space for yourself, make space for in your schedule, in your house. And I was like, I tell them, it's like we can't do anything until we've done that. And space in your mind, it's like, and how does it look for every person would be different. Some it would be I need space in my body, to maybe shift the way I'm eating and feel more spacious. And some is like a lot actually. There's a need, as you mentioned, in the mind of like how can we either rephrase that thing that it keep going on and on. It's like I'm getting too old. I don't know if it's gonna happen, or the doubt and the creating space is very important because I feel that's the number one piece to do to a lot. Like first, it's like often what I say is that if you want new friends, how can you get new friends if you don't create space for those people? If you don't make the time for them, if you don't make the time to check on them, and it's the same for your baby. It's like you need to there need to be space in your life for a baby to come. And if there is already not space for you to take care of yourself, like how does can a baby come?
And it also impacts your body if you're not giving yourself that space. When you give yourself that space, you can get more into a balanced state, because right now, with all the information that's being loaded on us, and we don't really have much time for space.
Yeah. Yeah. And but sometimes it can start very easily, For me, I said it's like even 5 minutes, do 5 minutes of breathing.
Yes.
And it's just like you're with your breath, and that's it. And yesterday I had a client, she already has a daughter, and I was telling her, okay, you're very busy, and I get it. How about you even just try to be even more in the present moment with her? Because often we're doing something, but we're thinking of the next things or something
True.
else. And it's like, how about when you play with her, you just play with her? And when I don't know, when you clean the dishes, we just clean the dishes, like bringing mindfulness. It's not adding to your life, it's just shifting the way you're
True.
doing.
I love that reframe. And it's true. It's just small things. And ultimately, it actually creates more time, because when you're feeling more peace
Yeah.
and you do have that like sense of space and not feeling as overwhelmed, you're much more productive.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And often also, I find something that I notice a lot is, because of the society we in, and it's very, in a way, it's very, very masculine, very doing, very success, very goal oriented, and also as women we decided we want to work, we want to be successful, we want to earn good money, like all of that. But I found a lot of my clients um, then end up in like the doing, very masculine. Whereas when you want to conceive, my belief is to come back to the feminine and to the being,
Hmm.
because the
Yes.
masculine is very outwards and it's a lot, it's like busy, whereas the feminine is like, okay, I'm more open, I'm being, and then by being more open, then it's easier for the conception to happen and the baby to come.
Well, that's the yin and the yang.
Yeah,
100%. And we're very much in a yang state, which can burn us out. It can burn out the yin, which is really the seed.
yeah,
And getting back into the yin, harmonizes that. And ultimately, that's what the egg does. So there's two ways of getting things. You can run after it or you can call it in. There's just two ways. So sometimes calling it in is way more powerful, or maybe that's really what is the best way at the moment.
hmm yeah. And it's always, going back, as you mentioned, the yin and the yang. If we, from like the way it is, like it's a balance. It's like you need both. It's like you can, you can't just like sit at home and being like, oh, okay, I meditate, I manifest, I'm calling my baby, and that's it, not and eating junk food and watching movie all day, and like, it's a balance. But I find, and it's probably the same situation in yours, the when the state of when they, at least for me, when they reach for help, they they've done a lot of the yang, and now it's like, how can we bring in more of the yin in, and then rebalance that, because oh, but I'm going to this appointment, I'm seeing that practitioner, but then it's almost become a to-do list of practitioner. Was originally let's say I'm going for a massage. Originally, it's supposed to help you relax, but then it's becoming of like to do to make it happen. So they lose sometimes the purpose of it.
Yeah, and sometimes the same thing with intimacy with your partner. It's the same thing. It's becoming like a means to an end rather than that really initial connection that you had, and that spark and the magic, which also helps with conception.
Yeah, yeah. It's a multifaceted approach, but I'd say what we were saying is like going back to yourself and really being able to hear what's happening. And then in my work, I said, just being aware that your baby is around and is also helping you in that. It's not just all on you. It's you with your baby, with your partner. And
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I actually, great timing, because I was going to mention one of my patients. She also connected with her spare baby. This is secondary infertility for years, And to the point where she was just like, I think I'm done. I'm not sure. And she was coming to me for a year, and she had talked to a spirit baby medium, and she had talked about the fact that the husband, in some way, because of what they went through with the losses after the first child, miscarriages, he was kind of shutting down. And she said, your husband needs to be more open, or make kind of come to terms with what happened. And interestingly enough, he was going through his own thing. And I think that he had to really open up. But it was pretty wild, because right after that, like a couple of months after, she got pregnant, and she kept
Hmm.
the baby, and she had the baby.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Women tend to tank everything on themselves, but
Yeah.
it's bigger.
It's
It's
a
like,
couple. It's the
yeah,
couple.
it's like the partner. If you have already children, it's also, sometimes I ask, I ask them, those who've been trying with a second, and I'm like, okay, let's say you would have been pregnant the first time, and your youngest was maybe one. Do you feel it would have been the best for your youngest? Like, how do you feel? And often they realize that, oh, actually, no, it probably maybe wasn't the right timing for them, but they never even think of that they think it's all on them. And but it's the whole dynamic, it's where you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Sometimes even in your business, it's like, where are you at financially? It's like there is different element. But I think sometimes it's good for the mom to be able to realize that if it's not happening, it's not first, it's not because of her at all. And there is different layer to it. And I love the story that you shared, because yeah, I've seen that sometimes it's the dad that they also need to be maybe more involved, or
Yeah.
just more maybe it needs to be expressed that, okay, I do want one. Because sometimes, when you try it for a long time, there's disconnection that can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was an interesting story that my recent guest had shared. I think it was the last episode I recorded. And she's a friend of mine who teaches yoga, Susan Singer. And it was just insane. She went through the fertility journey and went through IVF, and it wasn't working for many years. And finally, she did get pregnant. And she always used to have one specific code that she would always put as her pin, but it was very random. Like, it was just a pin she decided on. And when her baby was supposed to be born, they actually induced her a week before the due date. And when she had the baby, she didn't even think about this, but she had the baby, and then she sees on the chalkboard, or there was like a chart in front of her with the date of birth of the baby, and that was the number that
Oh,
she's always in the
that's so
past.
cool.
And just to think about, like, I mean, that, like, this is years and years and years and years of going through this and thinking, oh, I want it, and why can't it happen? And all this time, it was like meant to be in the exact moment that it
Yeah.
happened.
Oh, I love that story. That's super cool.
It's insane. I was like, I mean, it's so poetic, and it's just such an example of that. And I think that I think it's going to land for a lot of people because it's so powerful.
Yeah, because as we mentioned, I mean, it's exactly an example. It's like the baby, they also choose when they want to be born, and sometimes some of my
Yes.
clients, I was like, they tried to conceive during COVID, and I was like, maybe your baby didn't want to come during COVID time as well. It's like with everything which was involved, like there is. I often say that we understand, we have a better understanding on our journey, and it's difficult to accept, but when we're on the other side, but often when we're on the other side, everything, it makes sense. Like, I have a client that she tried to conceive for 10 years. 10 years, like I think she said like 20 plus round of IVF, like something like a lot.
Wow.
5 or 6 miscarriages, a lot. So she's like, I'm grateful that I was able to keep doing, also financially, but it was it was a lot. And now she has a daughter. Her daughter just turned one, and now she's working with me for the second. But when she came to me, it was a lot that she came to me before she was pregnant for the first. the first one, and it was a lot to carry. But now looking back, it's like she said, I can be a mom, a very different mom, because I'm a different place with my business. Like, there's so many things that are different, that she's like, she's very grateful that it happened the way it is, even if it was a difficult journey. And
Yeah.
also, I have a sense that down the road, she's probably gonna step up and help some of women that are also going through similar journeys. So it's difficult in the moment, definitely, but they always have heard the women, when they are their baby, they're grateful for the journey, and they understand better as well why it didn't happen earlier.
Yes, that always is the case. I've never had anybody go through it and
Mhm.
say they would change anything about it after the
Yeah.
fact. They would say, like, I don't care if it was like so many years, I'm still happy it happened just the way it happened, because I wouldn't get that perfect genetic makeup that would give me my child today. And I mean, there's so many, but when you're in it, it's like anything. I think that one of the biggest fears that we have as humans is the unknown
Yeah.
and not knowing how things are going to work out. And it's very hard when you want something so badly to not know how it's going to turn out, and to not know if your all of the energy and time that you're putting in is for nothing. Because at the time when you're going through it, it feels that way.
Mm. Yeah, you were asking me earlier, what some common message, and there is one actually that is very strong, is the baby want their mom to be happy. That's a very big one. And it sounds like very silly and very simple, but it's actually a very big one. And often, when we talk about, like, when you, I even felt it when it's like, when you want it so bad and you're really trying, it's very this energy of like it's contracting, because, when you try hard, it's like you're trying to make it happen. And what we talked before, it's like this itself can, unfortunately, just that block the process, and we want to open more. And a way to do it, often what I recommend, is what can you do for yourself? What bring you joy? What were you used to do with your partner or on your own that maybe you're not doing anymore, and that you can introduce a little bit more to reach more place, basically, where you're happy, because that's what your baby wants ultimately.
Yes.
And when you prioritize yourself and what's bring you joy, then it's easier also for the baby to come.
That makes perfect sense. I often talk about working on the heart space, because the heart actually plays a very important role on fertility and our emotional well being. It plays a really important role on our uterus, literally,
Hmm.
and the energetics of that and the energetics of our body. And when we do have really difficult, heavy emotions, it can impact even our menstrual cycle. So, this is like we see that in Chinese medicine. It really does impact your body and your hormones. And I often compare this to, because it's not really just us. And that's why it's one of the things in life that we just cannot fully have in our hands. It's not fully in our hands. It's in our hands, and it's a co creation of sorts, really. And the same thing can be compared to when you're meeting a person that you're going to end up marrying, or a partner. You cannot force that relationship. You cannot make it happen. You cannot say that's the person, and I'm taking it. No, you have to invite it in, and you have to be there, and you have to allow sort of the will of the other aspect, the other party, to come in at their own
Yeah,
will.
yeah, definitely. No, I love this analogy with the partner. That's often what I say also. It's like, everyone has different stories, like when they met their partner, but some are very long, some are short, some are challenging, and it's like, and it's sometimes, it's like, it makes sense that it's a little bit the same with having a baby, in my opinion. But we're so used to things being, you order on Amazon and it's
Yeah,
delivered the following
2
day,
hours
that we
sometimes.
think,
It
yeah, I mean,
depends.
sometimes I'm
Yeah.
definitely like that. And it's like, so then I hear so many times of like, oh, I thought when I would be ready to have my baby, then it will come. And they're like, oh, I'm okay if it's take few months, but they think I'm ready, so it should be coming. But it's the same of like when you were ready to meet your partner, did your partner just suddenly appear? Or did it take whatever road it took for you? And it's like,
Yeah.
could you can't, as you say, it's like you can't force someone to be your partner. It's like you have to let it happen, and same when you look who you end up with, and when you end up with, you're like, oh, that was exactly the right person at exactly the right time. And it's a little the same. I see it the same way with your spirit baby. It's like they're gonna come, they're here, but there is a lot of things that need to align for them to come, and we don't have control over it. And I think that's a challenging part for us as humans.
I think there's the one word that comes to mind is trust. In order to co-create, you have to trust. You can't because you're not doing it yourself. So you have to trust. You have to give forth trust in order for that co-creation, because there's another element to this.
Yeah. Yeah, trust and faith are always what I say as well. It's like do you believe your body can do it? And do you have faith that this baby will come? And that's the part sometimes that is lost, I find on the journey. And that's why often when they connect with their baby and they feel it, then it's reignite that or make it a little stronger.
If there's anything that you'd really want somebody listening to this to hear, is there like a parting message, something that you really feel strongly about?
Oh yeah, they're doing great. They're doing amazing. Like for me, that's the to remind them that in my opinion, they're already your mom. They are, even if
I
their
love
baby
that.
is not Earth-side, they're already your mom. I mean, it's like, look everything you're doing. It's like you're almost doing so much like if your baby was already there. You're caring so much, you're loving so much. So for me, they're already your mom. And then the other thing is really to be gentle with themselves. And it's one step at a time, one day at a time. There will be some up and low, and it's going to be sideways. And
Yeah.
just go back of like their why, like why did they want a baby in the first place? When it's difficult and they're doubting, just reconnect to that um, inner why. So yeah, you're already a mom. You're doing amazing. Be gentle with yourself, and it will happen. I really believe it will happen.
That's powerful. And then one last question, actually. If people want to connect with their spirit babies and are listening to this and say, okay, like, how can I connect with my spirit baby? What should I do? What would you suggest?
On their own.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is different way to do it. Actually, I mean, I created a guided meditation for free to connect with your spirit baby. So that's often I find a good first step to just try to just it's like I guide you through different steps to invite your spirit baby. So that's often the first one through meditation. The other way to do it is journaling. So what we call intuitive writing, where you just kind of write and then open the channel to see what's coming. And for that, often I recommend to either do a meditation before, like any type of meditation, or do some exercise, or just write on paper everything you have in your mind. The idea is to clear your mind to be more receptive, because if you're jumping right away into trying to receive a message, but you were like talking with someone or doing the dishes or like working right before, it's going to be difficult. So have a practice before that. So yeah, meditate, spirit baby meditation, journaling, asking for sign. We talked about it. It's like, can you show me a sign, and just be open. And the other way is through dreams. So before you go to bed, setting the intention of like opening um, the invitation for your baby to come through your dreams. This one is very powerful when it happens, but you have to know it can take time. It might take a few months before they visit you once. It's
Yeah.
not like a magic recipe, but it's like just even like talking to them, even if you can't hear anything, just being aware that they're around and they exist. And just if this is the first step. And then when you do that, then you'll see actually, even without asking sign, you might see sign or might someone tell you about something. So that's probably will be the different ways that I would suggest.
It's so interesting how I'm going back to full circle when we first started the call for maybe like 30 minutes. And Claire was on the line and she kept coming back in, and all I can see was black and I can't hear anything. And she keeps saying the same thing on the chat. I can see you and I can hear you.
Oh yeah, that was yeah.
And that is to me, that
I
was,
mean,
I was like, okay, spirit's messing with us. Like, this is what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that. And I'm like, if, I mean, that, if that's not a sign,
oh no, but
I
definitely.
don't
I mean,
know what is.
I have
I
goosebumps
mean,
when you say, yeah, no, oh yeah, and I was saying I can see you and I can hear you. Oh yeah, that was cool.
I
I
mean,
didn't,
and I was
yeah,
like, okay,
definitely.
there's a reason why this is happening. I'm like,
Mhm.
there's got, and it's like, I could have gotten, okay, so it was 30 minutes, and I was like, okay, we got to get started, but I felt peaceful. I was like, I wasn't impatient. I'm like, okay, it's going to happen. We're going to figure this out somehow. And I wasn't feeling impatient, and I wasn't feeling like rushed. And to me, that was, the whole thing was so symbolic of the journey and how we can feel, but then also acknowledging the fact that, like, yeah, there's this consciousness that is fully aware of you, and not in a creepy way, but like can see you and can hear you, and all you have to do is just speak.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, I think that's a great example. Like you said, like the black screen and the ear. It's like, and that's often the case, at the beginning. I mean, a lot of women do the meditation and they do something happen, like even just a sensation or a color, but some there is nothing, but they just feel better. They say, "Oh, I feel more
Yeah,
calm. I feel." So just that feeling, it's like
the
even if
peace.
it's something, and then they go back. And what I always said is that I really believe if you've been on a journey for a long time, there is a baby and there is a reason. So I wouldn't really question, is there a spirit baby out there? Because that's often the question I got. For me, it's like, yes, there is. And then some women, it's easier for them to communicate than others. That's also where they come, and someone like me will help facilitate the communication. But it's like, as we said, it's like if you talk and share, they will receive the message, even if you don't hear back. And it's
Yeah,
it's a difficult trust to have, but it's what do you have to lose anyway? It's like
yeah,
it's why
absolutely.
not
I'm
trying?
literally, that was the thought that I had. I'm like, this is exactly what it's like to connect with your spirit baby. I'm like, she sees me and hears me, and I'm just sitting here like, I can't say anything. So it's pretty wild. So I know that you work with people. If people were to listen to this and really connect with your message and want to find you, how can they find you?
Yeah, so the best way right now is on my website, which is with my full name. Would you put the link under, or
Yeah,
you want me
I'm
to
gonna put
say?
the link. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put I think you already sent it, so
Yeah.
we'll just
So
put,
it's
we'll add.
it's my full name, Anne-ClaireLeBihan.com. And the way actually the way I'm doing right now, there is one-on-one option of communication, but I've found that it was a lot more powerful to come together as a small group of women. So that's the main program I do, is called Bring Your Spirit Baby Home. And it's like an intimate group of women coming together, and I take them on a journey where it's like we don't exactly know where it's going to go. I just know that on the other side, everyone feels definitely more at peace, have trust, they feel calm, and they really have the deep knowing that their baby is coming, and they all let go of like how and when. I don't know. I can't really explain even how it happened, but it always happened. That's I can guarantee. And yeah, obviously some of them get pregnant, but as you mentioned, you can't, it's not something we can promise, but that's the best way on my website. And I always love to meet people, so even if you're not ready to book anything, just send me a note. And the meditation will also be available on my website, and we can also put the link, and you can just try with that and just tell me how it was for you and if you were able to receive anything.
Awesome. Well, this is such a pleasure. I'm so excited that we got to talk and everything worked out in the end. And thank you so much, Anne-Claire, for coming on today.
Oh, thank you so much. I really had a really nice time. It was lovely to see you. And the way the time is ticking, we're going to finish at 44:44. Very
Oh,
interesting.
wow. And your time. That's amazing. See, of course, of course. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.